with 1,000 randomly selected people. You will only survive if you can beat every single person at one thing. What would you choose? Story 1 ID: choose tearing movie ticket stubs super fast. I used to work at a movie theater, and we had contests to see who could tear the most tickets in the shortest time. I got really good at it, and it's such a random skill that I bet most people wouldn't even think to practice it. Story 2: explaining my PhD thesis. Edit: to everyone wondering. My thesis is investigating the combustion and oxidation properties of small amounts of metal additives in energetic formulations through oxide layer disruption, metallic solutions, and autopassivation processes. Story 3: Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not obscure, but I doubt many people know all the rules. It's so convoluted and stupid that I'd take my chances that of 1,000 random people, none could beat me in a fair duel. Story 4: well, I know a few authors that unfortunately have very little sales, so I would probably win a quiz about their books at it, since a few people have asked me. The books are in Spanish. However, one of them is translated into English, so I'll put that one and another in Spanish if someone is interested. Reign in March English edition, by Athalias Caf Luria Mordors de Covenant, by Javier Esquemez. Story 5: if we go with the literal answer, then it's going to be like trivia about my life, or something like that, but that's a boring answer. More interesting is a test of skill or ability, and that's the spirit of the question, I think. So I would answer StarCraft 2 1v1s. I played enough StarCraft 2 and got a high enough ranking that I dare say I'm probably like in the top 0.002 in the world, which sound impressive, but the vast majority of those people have probably never played a computer game in their life, let alone an RTS. So I'm pretty sure I could beat every one of those people in a match of StarCraft, unless I got extremely unlucky and some random Grandmaster was chosen. Edit: top 99, 9,998 to top 0.0002. Look, I didn't say I'd compete with people in math, alright. Story 6: a drunk cooking competition. Everyone must reach above the legal limit before starting to prep and cook. Everyone must make a dish from scratch. No pre-made sauces, etc. They have to maintain that blood alcohol content until the dish is done. There's a time limit. Anyone with a completed dish and a BAC of 0.08 or more before the time limit will qualify to the final round. This will weed out probably 75 of the competitors. The final round has the same rules. Best score wins. If there is a tie, rounds will continue until players are eliminated or unconscious. Story 7: muscle ups. Most people can't even hang their self from a bar for 10 seconds, so I think I have a very high statistical change at pulling off the most muscle ups. Story 8: reciting the B movie from memory, in German. I am not particularly good at it. In fact, I only know the first 30 lines or so. But since German doesn't have that many speakers, compared to other languages, the fact that most people have not seen the B movie, and the fact that even less people will remember more than 4 lines of that movie in total, would probably give me a pretty good change at winning. Story 9: disc golf. I'm a 970 rated player. If that means anything to you, I'm a very second-rate pro, and I'm probably in the top 1,000 rated players in the world. That puts me in the top 0.000000125 of the global population. That means there is about a 1 in 8 million chance that I'm in the room with somebody better than me. They'll take those odds. Story 10: probably a music theory exam and getting a doctorate in classical guitar performance. But I'd be more worried about someone being better at playing guitar than I would about someone knowing more about the fundamentals of music theory. Another option would be sight reading on a guitar. I can do that better than most doctoral-level guitarists who have better chops than me, so a very low chance of any rando being better at it. Story 11: StarCraft 2. There's only a few thousand people in the entire world higher ranked than me, and I'm not afraid to get matched up against most of them. I can certainly take wins. I've never met a single person randomly IRL that could threaten me in-game. Every person I've played IRL who thinks they're pretty good at the game turns out to not be very good. It's a lot of matches to play, but I'm not doing anything else very important RN. Story 12: making an impromptu speech on a given topic with no preparation time. I've been challenged on that multiple times, and as long as I have any knowledge of the subject, I can give a 20 to 30-minute speech on it by moving into adjacent subjects for a time, and then back to the main topic to finish up. Either that or DD rules. Been playing 36 years. Story 13: understanding what Pokemon's designs are inspired from and how Game Freak articulates the inspiration through a monster. I bet no one can beat me in that. I'm lonely. Story 14: my native language. The odds that another was from my country and could stand a chance would be very low. And if there was another, well then I'd have a worthy opponent. Story 15: earlier this year, I held one of the top 100 fastest times in 2024 for running 100 miles. I've since fallen off that list, but I bet that would be a good one. And probably still in the top 200 in 2008, 0000000. is 0.0000025. Story 16, fabricating a machinist vice base out of one thick I-beam material for a weld-sail brand platen table that is stable and removable with only 2 bolts. Had to make a dozen recently for a shop. Story 17, backing up a trailer. I was raised in a trucking business and learned to back a trailer when I was 12, been doing it almost daily for the last 40 years. Story 18, listening to people talk, dissecting each word into 2-letter sections with the desired outcome to be everything is even. I don't stop until there are an even amount of letters. I could do it if I hear someone talk, and I'm even better with it when I'm reading, especially closed captions. If you talk to me for 5 minutes and ask me if all of the words you spoke ended up in an even or odd amount of letters, I will know it's an OCD thing I've had my whole life, and I assume I'm not the only one, but I've never met anybody else that can do it. Story 19, a complete and total analysis of the many works of Kendrick Lamar. I've taught a class on Kendrick in the past, and he's probably my singular biggest musical inspiration. Story 20, hawking a loogie, distance measured in sidewalk squares. I was both in softball and played a wind instrument. I have cheeks of steel. While this isn't, I fully accept it will be taken as such and am at peace. Story 21, in Tyrol, Bavaria, and South Tyrol, there's a card game called What 10. My father taught me how to play when I was 3 or 4 years old. I don't think that out of a 1,000 random people, many are better than me. Story 22, I have a tick from childhood where I have assigned an odd and even designation to each letter of the alphabet, i.e. ad, Bevan, cod, and so on. Furthermore, I have assigned odd to my right hand, and even to my left. I innately know this system and don't even have to think it out to know what letters are odd and even. I can out-tap the letters accurately and quickly to any word better than anyone on the planet. I'm absolutely sure. Story 23, portraits. I can make literally anyone look good naked. No Photoshop or anything needed. You'll need a set though, preferably a bed with just white sheets and apparently 998 new sets for in between clients. BC, I am not reusing the same sheets for everyone. Gross. Subjects must follow instructions, but I will definitely win. I can find beauty in everyone. That's going to be a really long day. Parallel parking or reciting digits of pi. Story 24, Mancala. It took 3 games for my ex-aunt to go from super excited to teach me how to play to swearing to never play with me again. To this day, everyone I have ever played with thinks I'm a sharp or something. Do Mancala sharps even exist? Story 25, microstrip to substrate integrated waveguide launches. So obscure that probably 9991000 would not even understand what they are, let alone how to design one. Story 26, licking my elbow. I just can do it. Not sure how, but I think that my tongue is long, and my whole life I never meet anyone who can do it. I'm sure in this room, also no one could do it. D. Story 27, reciting my social security number, library card number, birthday, MMBYY, student ID number, the number of cylinders in the Lexus LFA, and the last model year of the Acura NSX Hybrid in that order. Story 28, Pokemon TCG. I am a top 100 player in the world. To have someone else ranked in the global top 1,000 selected in the 1,000 random people would be statistically improbable. Story 29, this might be one time being stupid tall will work in my favor. I'm going to choose being tall as the thing. I'm 6'10". There are only a handful of people taller than me on this planet. The odds of one of them being randomly in that 1,000 people is astronomically small. Story 30, disassembling and reassembling an M1 Garand rifle. I haven't done it in years, but I was the second fastest in my squad, and most people haven't done it ever, so there's a decent chance it'll win. Otherwise, Stairmaster, my record is 221 year on 911, one for each floor of each tower. I doubt I'm the world's best, but in a room of 1,000, I have a solid shot. Story 31, 1,000 randomly selected people. From what array? Whole 8 bill. Then ID, say Java development. I bet that out of random 1,000 out of 8 bill, there would be a very slim chance that there's another one. If I want a foolproof thing, ID, say Java development of a particular application, I am a senior dev developing it. That way a probability of having 1 out of 10 other senior devs and CTO in that 1,000 is even more minuscule. Story 32, shooting milk out of tear ducts as far as possible. It's completely useless, and a lot of people won't get over the ick factor. So unless I'm up against someone who 1 knows this is something physically possible, 2 knows the technique to actually do it, 3 actually wants to do it, and 4 has practiced aim and distance more than I have, and golden. Also getting an impacted snake too. I'm pretty good at that actually. Story 33, fastest to crack an entire case of eggs. A big institutional size box. Not like what you might pick up at the store. Time penalties for each shell piece that ends up in the bucket. I can crack one-handed in both hands at the same time. Story 34, doing a voice impression of me. I wouldn't even speak to them. ID, just write my challenge. They wouldn't have any idea what I sounded like, and even people I know wouldn't have it perfect. Story 35 ID have said bouldering, but actually hangboarding seems a safer option so that I don't need to do 1,000 boulders. Should be a safe option since only dedicated climbers hang off small edges with added weight. Story 36, I've always had freaky lung capacity. Even untrained, I could hold my breath for 4 minutes. In my late 20s, I started training with a friend who was a free diver, and I got almost 8 minutes. I can average around 6.5 these days. I feel like ID have a fair chance. Story 37 depends. Randomly selected from the whole world. 1 in 700 people in the world speak my native language, so I could just go with that language skill if it's truly random. Story 38, my mother tongue. The chance there is someone with the same one is tiny. Specifically 0, 125, the chance you to be better than me is probably 0.03. Can you add some MillionSoft USD in the deal, please? Story 39, not glamorous. But if I wanted a shot of seeing another day, then I'll wager my SQL skills in Standard Oracle are 12. The odds dramatically reduce once we move to other variants MS SQL, SOQL. Story 40, high pressure welding test 6G, TIG root, and 7,018 small fill cap. Statistically, it's unlikely there's another welder that won't fail the test. And if there is, then. Story 41, knowledge of folktales mythology. People who are truly interested are a rare breed. Knowledge of world religions. Most people are barely interested in their own religions. Earlier parts of Islamic history. Story 42, writing a terrible fanfic. It's pretty hard for me to write a non-cringe-worthy book, so if I really put my heart into making a terrible fanfic, it'd be the worst one in the world, but the best one for this challenge. Story 43, running Ming a game of D&D with the people there. I'm a great GM, and even if I'm not the only great GM there, I get to have a few great games of D&D before I die. Story 44, if the 1,000 people in the room are a totally random but average cross-section of society. Riding a bicycle with no hands, I've gone over 10 kilometers before and only had to stop because of 2 dogs merging in front of me. Story 45 and 66, if the people are randomly selected from all over the world, I'm probably the tallest. If we're selecting in my country, that probably won't work. Story 46, solving a Rubik's Cube fast on a good day. I can do it in under 10 seconds. If it's 1,000 people, then there's bound to be a few who can solve it. But the overwhelming majority of people who learn it can't do it much faster than a minute.